thanks for staying with us. So one of the first stories we're going to talk about today is the Nigerian lady who was wrongly accused in Ivory Coast. The story is a bit sketchy. However, we heard that the lady died after contracting an infection while she was in prison. We would like to hear your thoughts on it. I think it was actually Cote d'Ivoire, right?
Yeah, Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah. So join us on the show. You can call us on 081-270-53687, 091-390-76948. You can also send us messages on YouTube. For those of you that have no idea what happened, this young girl had initially accused someone of stealing from her store. Then, after the report, we now found that the person who she accused was related to a police officer, the DPO. Yeah. Now, so unfortunately, the investigation was never carried out on the case. But she was then whipped up to be a trafficker. Okay, I think she was arrested.
So what happened was she reported the case to the police, and then the DPO said that this person who did this to you, who boggled in and stole about 300,000, that's when worth of goods, is my nephew. Yes. So please, let's settle this out of court or police. And they offered her 100,000. She refused.
Yes, exactly.
So she was now wrongly accused of trafficking and was sent to 10 years imprisonment. Framed for that.
Yes. The DPO threatened her to take the money, or she will see, or she will deal with her. And she decided to face him. So she went and did a counteraction for a supposed value of what was stolen from her because she could identify who boggled her shop. Yeah, and then he framed her up for human trafficking. This story was uncovered by a journalist, and it was reported by that time she had been sentenced for that offense that she was framed up for.
10 years.
And then that journalist then broke it outside. Yeah. They did everything. The matter is on appeal.
So the matter was taken to NiDCOM, that's the Nigerian Diaspora Commission. Yeah. And it was taken up according to them. And they were following up with the case. But at some point, she fell sick. And then suddenly she died. Now, we on the phone now, I'm told we have the Honorable Abike Dabiri who will be giving us some kind of an update on, enlighten us exactly what happened, because we are worried about the time frame between when she was accused and thrown in jail and to the time when she died, if anything, if NiDCOM actually did any work to get her out. Good morning, madam. Are you there? Hello, Honorable Abike Dabiri, are you there? Okay, I think we're still trying to connect with her, but that's the concern of Nigerians. Yeah. I mean, I know that the reporter Hudayin that brought this out was quite worried that it was as though she was abandoned for almost 8 months. There was no report. That we have no idea what was going on with her case, who the defense lawyer was, how far the case had come. All that was still not clear until the point of where she died. Although the press release released by the Abike Dabiri's office was saying that they actually paid for her health services and they paid for her legal services also. So, according to that press release, they were in contact with her and were involved with her. But how she fell sick to the point of death, and they even used the word diabetes in the press release. So, at what time was she diagnosed with diabetes, and what was done about that? So that's really the concerns we would like to ask. Because I'm told that we have Honorable, she's on the phone now. Hello, madam, are you there? Honorable Abike Dabiri, are you there?
Yes, I have you.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I am. Can you hear me?
Very clearly. We can hear you now. So, can you hear me?
Yeah, but breaking, but I can cope.
Okay. So we saw your press release saying that your commission actually was following up with Itunu, that's her name, at the point of when she was put in jail and when she was giving her legal services and helping out with her health care. Now, our concern, however, is that she spent 2 whole years in prison. What was NiDCOM doing at that period in 2 years? How come she spent that long in prison?
Number one, NiDCOM was not even in existence in 2 years ago. But secondly, she did not tell anybody, and this is the message to all of us. We got to know a few months ago through her father. Her father found a way to reach us and said, my daughter has been in jail for 2 years. So number one, we tell Nigerians that, listen, no matter what, even if you say the missions, they are not answering you, at least report to them. So the mission was not aware. But when we got to know, the father, David, he posted something, I will reply to him. the father got in touch with us even before then. We did our own investigation, and he did knew that she was not guilty. So what we did at that point in time was that the Nigerian mission went to visit her 5 hours away in the prison where she was in the hinterland in Cote d'Ivoire. They went there, they saw her, had a conversation with her. Now the next thing is she's been sentenced for 20 years, which was commuted to 10 years for human trafficking. An offense we know she did not commit. But because the guy involved is related to the police, they just bungled the whole thing. And you know, she didn't use her real name. She used a different name. But you see, if Itunu had told anybody, or even told us, or whoever, that listen, I have this problem, I'm sure it won't even get to the stage of going to court. So that's number one. So when we got to know a few months ago, during COVID, don't forget, there couldn't be any traveling and all that. But we got the mission to go there. The Consul General went there. They had a conversation with her, decided to get a lawyer. So in the last 6 months, the Nigerian mission had paid for the service of a lawyer, which usually is not that, well, they could tell the client that you have to pay for yourself. But the ambassador even came there. The guy demanded for $4,000. They mobilized and paid him and said, listen, go on the appeal. And we're so sure we'll win the appeal. All of a sudden.
Oh, we need to get her back. Please. Are you there? It's froze. Okay, we'll try to see if we can get her connected. We really want to hear that.
I wanted to, maybe when she comes, I'll just, repeat the question. I wanted to ask, does it mean that we don't have data of people who live outside the country? Because I know that when other people, like foreigners, are here and something happens to them, there's always a swift response compared to what we have when we, Nigerians, go outside the country and something happens to us. Yeah. So for her to say that they were not aware, she's back. Okay, to say that they were not aware.
Let me let her finish. Hello. Yeah. You are telling us, hello, madam.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, we lost you. What was the last thing she said?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, go ahead, please. We lost you.
I don't know where you lost me.
You said they got a lawyer for...
So what I was saying was that...
They started the process for appeal.
They got the services of... Can you hear me?
Yes, at the appeal, yes.
Yeah, so the lawyer has actually started the process of appeal. The Nigerian mission paid the lawyer and gave the service of a lawyer. And it was like, let's conclude this appeal. Don't forget that she had been sentenced for 20 years. A case had gone on. So the next stage is an appeal. Yeah. In between the appeal, you can try diplomatic intervention. But it was like, let us appeal this case. So the appeal was on. In fact, when she fell ill in prison, the lawyer went there, paid for the medical bill through the mission. 100,000 cefas. And then the next thing was for her to just come. In fact, they were also saying that while the appeal was on, she would be granted bail, which was what the lawyer was asking for. Then all of a sudden, she died. So how she died from diabetes complications just like that is one way of saying that we have to demand for a full autopsy. And then the case will go on. Because even in death, she must be vindicated.
Yes.
I don't know whether I'm still on with you.
Right,
yes,
we are, yes.
I can hear you. So I was asking, because I heard you say that the matter was not brought to you till just a few months back. And I'm worried because I know that when foreigners come to our land and anything happens to them, there's this swift response from their commission and their government. Is there anything you think Nigerians can begin to do to capture their data with the commission? So that when they travel...
No, what I'm telling you is that she has felt. No, but you need to let them know that you are there and that there's a problem you want them to intervene. If her father did not reach us, we would not know she's in prison. Yes. So that's why we say that no matter the services you say you get from the bishops, I didn't let them know. It was her father that reached out to me that like, my daughter has been in prison for 2 years. Wow. So what I'm even saying, even at the point of the quarrel with the Ivorian guy and the Ivorian police, if she had reached out to the mission, it wouldn't even get to the case of going to court. And that is my point. Yeah. So how can you interpret something you don't know?
No, you can't.
So we got to know just a few months ago because the father looked for us. As I speak with you, I spoke to the father yesterday. And what we want to do is just get our cops back and, let him bury his daughter. It's a very sad thing. So and I'm saying one of the lessons here is, wherever you are, if there's a problem, go to the mission. Come back and say, oh, they didn't answer us. We treat our many mails every day here, through our email, petitions and everything. And we try as much to give response. There's a limit we can go. There are some things that is really at the level of the Minister of Foreign Affairs. But as far as NiDCOM mandate is concerned, we do all we can. So I'm sure that if Itunu got in touch with us 2 years ago, even whether as SSA diaspora, she would not be in that situation.
All right, let me quickly go on.
She was already in prison. She had gone to court. The case had been sentenced before this case of appeal.
All right, let me call
the government has paid for a lawyer.
Yes. Let me go on a quick break, madam. I'll be right back. We still have a lot of questions for you. Hold on, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Honorable Abike Dabiri, are you still there? Network. I really want to ask you this question.
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. So there's a question that came for you. There was an allegation that the...
Yes, I can hear you.
Great.
I'm here.
So there was an allegation that the mission tried to extort money from Itunu. Could you clarify if indeed that happened? Okay, we'll try to. Maybe we really need her to answer that question.
So, you can do an audio. If
go ahead.
I'm wondering what is the stand of the Cote d'Ivoire government about this whole thing. So let's assume that, yes, she's in court while waiting her appeal. Some have to be detained pending their appeal. Some people get bail pending their appeal. But the government, in their own, what they call it, language, body language, how do they feel about this, and how does it affect their relations with us as a nation? What image is our own government giving about Nigerian lives being framed and, taken or, abused like this? Because I want to believe that she wasn't kept in the best of conditions in the prisons. Yeah. I want to believe that. I believe that such a detainee, let me not use convict now, such a detainee, because of international and, some of such relations, the government of such countries will keep them in a very, because I know Nigeria does that, in a very good condition, such that there are people, this person is a sacred detainee, nothing must happen to them, that kind of relations. So not to the extent that, she's now falling ill to the extent of in such a suspicious way, and she dies in their detention. And all right, how do they feel about this? What are we going to do?
Hello, madam, are you there? I'm really trying to, maybe we should just call her on the phone. Yes. Hello, can you hear us?
Do an audio.
Hello, madam. Hello, can you hear us? I think we should just call her on the phone. So maybe that would be better, so that we can have a conversation, because it's important we get answers to some of these questions. Mariam, going to say something?
Yeah, so for me, when I came here, I definitely had a lot of questions. I had questions about how someone would be detained and had reached out to the commission, and it took them 2 years to even do anything until she passed. So it was very important, that the Honorable has come to clarify how long or when they were finally contacted, and it's just been months before. So it's important for us Nigerians to understand, like when we're in other countries, we need to make our presence known. We need to know who to go to when things have gone wrong for us in different countries. I really feel so sad that young lady had to die. But as Nima has said, we have to take a stance, and we need to show body language that this is unacceptable. She is passed, unfortunately, but for other Nigerians in different countries. And, when it comes to Nigerians being maltreated in African countries, it really annoys me. Like, well, the same people, when we hear of it happening in Asia, we may blame it on race. But you need to be able to give us, some sort of grace as an African country to, even if you have a Nigerian in your prisons, reach out to our commission or reach out, to our mission there and see, that there's a response from our own country. If they did that and our own country did not respond, then that's a different thing. But to have African countries, it almost seems like, there's a disrespect with the Nigerians in different African countries, and we need to, going forward, we really need to make it known that we would not take things like that, and that there has to be a due process when a Nigerian is found with or accused of anything abroad, that there is a procedure, we have a mission before you go about locking them up unjustly. And then when it's time to get to the courts as well, I guess because we're a co-African country, there has to be a process, that it's sort of a bit, what's the word now I'm trying to use?
Cordial?
Yes, a cordial relationship relationship that allows for a court process, you know, or allows her to get bail while this is going on.
We understand that every country is a sovereign country and they have their own laws that guide their interactions in their country. But you'd expect that the crime she was convicted of and detained would have been settled if proper investigations was done. So because investigation later showed that she was framed.
Almost immediately.
Almost immediately.
It means that there was proper investigation.
Exactly. That's
I have to go. Let me go on a break because I was still trying to connect her. I'll just rather phone her in. Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, hopefully we'll have the Honorable Abike Dabiri on the phone to speak with us. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Hello, madam. Thanks for staying with us. So, Honorable Abike Dabiri, are you still there with us?
Yes, I am.
Fantastic. So there are two key questions that came out. I'll ask one. I think Nima will ask the other one. Part of the article from David Hundeyin is that someone in the missions accused someone in the missions of extorting money from Itunu's father to bring her back to Nigeria, to bring her corpse back to Nigeria. Is that true?
Well, I spoke with Itunu's father yesterday. I told that even if it's a personal responsibility, I will handle it. So we're already communicating with him. We'll work with him to bring that response. I don't know his conversation with the mission, but I really, but I spoke with him. I told him we'll work together and bring it back. So I can't confirm what today said, but in fact, this is the father's letter. I have it in my bag. You can bring it from my bag, where he wrote us saying that when he reported to us, federal government intervened, and that is not everything, and that he's asking us to look at it here. Second paragraph. My daughter was charged with human trafficking and sentenced to 20 years in prison, despite having no proper legal representation. I raised my daughter's cry to the federal government, and considerable steps were being taken to clear my daughter of the crime she was accused of. So what he's just asking for now, he said she was poorly, looked into, and that is why we've involved Interpol. Whereas with this letter, we're getting the Interpol involved. Some lawyers have approached me, that they will approach the ECOWAS court. I support that fully. And we have demanded a full autopsy. So it's not a case we're going to lie low. So as far as the father is concerned, we will work with him to bring the corpse back. And I've given him that assurance, no matter what it takes.
But if indeed somebody is extorting money from him, would you be able to bring that to book also?
But I can't guarantee that anybody said that. But I will ask him. But you see, there was time David reported that they wanted to extort money from her. When I asked the mission, what they said that time was when this came to light, it was like, lawyer will be needed. How much do you have as a family? That was it. Okay, now $4,000 is what the lawyer has demanded. Now they just asked them that, what do you have as a family? And that's what the father told me.
Okay.
What you have to pay, what you have to contribute. Actually, he has nothing. It was at that case we said, ensure the money is raised and start the case. Now, even if it means personal intervention, it's not a big deal. It's what we have all done, one time or the other. And that had been sorted. The lawyer had started engaging. The lawyer had gone to court. In fact, the lawyer wanted the case taken from Abidjan, from the hinterland to Abidjan, because it would be easier for everybody. And then she died. So and the lawyer has been paid.
Okay, Honorable. What is the government of Cote d'Ivoire? What is their stance in terms of our international relations with them? What is their stance about this that has happened to this Nigerian? And what is the stand of our Ministry of Foreign Affairs as well?
No, the Minister of Foreign Affairs needs to now communicate with his counterparts in Cote d'Ivoire. On our own part here, we're having a meeting with the ambassador here, because he's representing. But the next stage is, after all this, the Minister of Foreign Affairs will have to now take a policy decision on behalf of the Nigerian government. We don't have that power as a commission. We're just the parastatal under the ministry. So for me now, I have to ensure that the body is brought back, that she gets a befitting burial, and then we'll see how we can support the father. But in terms of policy, that rests on the table of the Honorable Minister of Foreign Affairs on the next step to take as a country. Okay. Cote d'Ivoire.
Okay, ma'am. I would like to know, going forward, what we can do better, what we can do to stop, to protect our citizens when they are outside the country, and also to, reduce the impact of, fake policing, framing of Nigerians when they leave outside, when they are found in other countries. What can we do better as a country? I understand that, yes, she would have reported her stay in that place. She should have reached out to the mission. But in a case where a Nigerian is unable to reach out to the mission, if they are found in a police station, the country involved, is there no agreement that they reach out to our mission to say, we have a Nigerian here, and this is what is happening to the Nigerians so far?
Well, that is if the mission gets to know. Like I said, in this particular case, they were not even in the picture. At least we got into the picture a few months ago, and like I said, yeah, David posted something, but the father reached out to us. So I think what we need to do better is, number one, reach out to the missions. Okay, if you document the father, we reach out to them, they did nothing. Is another matter.
I'm not sure you got a question. Honorable Abike Dabiri, I'm not sure you got a question. Honorable Abike, she was saying that the police should have contacted the mission on her behalf. That we have one of your citizens, this is what they're accusing her for. Shouldn't that, is there a policy that demands that should have been done?
That's what I'm saying. I've told you now that we have taken this case to Interpol. The police themselves were involved in this matter. Right. Okay. The guy is a nephew of a police man. So do you think, I mean, let's face it now, the Ivorian police will not go to the Nigerian mission? No. When they were also implicated. Yeah. Right. And they know that in this appeal, she will be vindicated. So who knows what happened to her? That's what I'm saying. We need to know what happened to her. I mean, let's be realistic. That the police that is involved, being accused, will now go to the mission and say what we know now. Right. That's true. Also, when you say one is, no matter how, particularly students, let them know that when this incident happened, if Itunu had come to the mission, or even to the Diaspora Commission, like I said, I don't know when it says 2 years ago, we would have been able to advise and guide and intervene, even with the Cote d'Ivoire ambassador here. They would have gone to that level of it. And then, she used a different name. And that's where they now roped her with human trafficking. She didn't use her real name. She used a different name. And that is where I think the human trafficking came in. And I think she used a different name. Maybe she was or her legal status was not, legit or something. Right, I don't know. Right. But it was using the illegal, another name that they now just changed it into human trafficking. Okay, we have to wrap up. But let's work with even if you don't get a positive response, go there, document it. There's the Minister of Foreign Affairs that deals with issues. Secondly is that we have to stop stereotyping ourselves. Fine, a few Nigerians behave badly, but that doesn't mean, we're all the same. So we need to work at stopping that stereotype. One bad apple cannot spoil the whole bunch. And thirdly is the fact that we need to, as you said, to know when to Cote d'Ivoire in search of a better life. Okay. And see what has happened. Final question, madam. To ensure that we're not going about unnecessarily. That's the whole. Let me get one last question. Let me get one last question for you. Go ahead.
I know that there are rules of engagement, when it comes to foreign affairs, especially with ECOWAS countries. Now that it's obvious that this country has goofed, is there any sanction that will be given to them?
Like I said, that's in the purview of the Minister of Foreign Affairs. We can recommend, but we can't, and we're going to write officially. The Commission will write the Minister officially and put our thoughts, but we cannot take that decision. Can we ask you what you are recommending? That will be the Minister. Mr. Onyema. Honorable Abike Dabiri, can we ask you can you give us a snip bit of what you'll be recommending? It's not for you. Well, no, I just want justice for it today. I can't really go into all that. Like I said, it's actually the minister's purview. Right. So, okay, I'll let you go. To say, I know that I'm not. I'll let you go at this point. Thank you so much, Honorable Abike Dabiri, for joining us this morning, for clarifying this issue. And our hearts go out to the family of Itunu. May her soul rest in peace. And we also appeal to Nigerians living abroad. It's not when something happens. Just know where the mission is, know where the consulate, just know where they are. Have a number, have somebody, have a website, just have somewhere to call or tell family. If anything happens, your child living abroad, something happens, just inform the Nigerian Commission in that state. Yes, sir, you're going to say something. Final word, Honorable Abike Dabiri. No, you can't. Admin at NiDCOM.gov.ng. There are some cases we can solve, there are some we cannot solve. Like somebody just emailed me from China yesterday. He actually committed a crime, so he's in prison for drugs. I can't get him out. But there are cases where, like Itunu's case, if we had done at that time, it would not have happened. So email us, admin at NiDCOM.gov.ng. As I told you, even just 2 days ago, Nigeria has been attacked in the UK and killed, a knife attack. We're in touch with the mission, we're in touch with the family, and the 2 people have been arrested. So, you know, all these things don't have to be in the public domain. But you now have a diaspora commission. Like I said, some things we can do, some we can, but reach us and we'll see what we can do, working with our missions approach.
Fantastic.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's all we can take. And one thing she said also that I thought was important is that even if your family doesn't have the money, the commission will step up to support you. So don't be afraid to ask or to ask for help, because many Nigerians abroad always feel like, what will I do? I can't afford a lawyer. But the commission can support you to some extent based on what they say.
That's why it's important that you have your papers, you go into different countries legally.
Right, yes, right.
Those are the things too.
That's all we can take on that segment. When we come back, move on to other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.